Now it's time for Flippy.
All right.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
Time for the Flippy update, folks. Flippy is our colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a way to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways the robots are taking over the world and how there's nothing we can do about it. Today's Flippy update is coming from Wired.com. The headline, "A robot finds more trouble under the Doomsday Glacier."
Whoa,
Dun,
this
dun,
is like
dun.
a crossbreed Antarctica story.
So a new discovery in Antarctica.
Penguins.
That's right. Oh, yeah. Speaking of Adam Carolla, who you just mentioned, let's not forget that Adam Carolla tried to steal the Flippy update.
That's true.
There was another called it.
There's another
a Flippy
prominent
update.
podcast that did a little sort of Flippy tangent recently.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure they did.
We won't
Well,
talk about it now, but
No,
we
we're
might later.
tired of giving free advertisement for incredibly popular podcasts. All right, back to the Wired. Ice Finn, the robot.
Ooh.
Ice Finn.
Ice Finn.
Which
Sounds
is
like a superhero.
It's the coolest name for a robot so far. Ice Finn, the robot, is designed to go where no human can, swimming off the coast of Antarctica under 2,000 feet of ice. Lowered through a borehole drilled with hot water, the torpedo-shaped machine takes readings and, most strikingly, video. Striking. Of Thwaites Glacier's vulnerable underbelly. Ooh, we've got vulnerable underbelly of the glacier. This Florida-sized chunk of ice is also known as the Doomsday Glacier, and for good reason. It's rapidly deteriorating. No, it's not. Not if you listen to the Antarctic scientists. And if it collapses, global sea levels could rise over a foot. Oh no! It could also tug on surrounding glaciers as it dies, which would add another 10 feet to rising seas.
That's assuming no other place freezes over with more ice, but okay.
Yeah.
Continue.
So we have another example here of the mainstream reporting on glaciers that directly goes against what the actual Antarctic scientists are trying to tell the rest of us. But that's not what this segment is about, and it is not the most important thing in this article. In a pair of papers published today in the journal Nature, scientists describe what Ice Finn and other instruments have discovered underneath all that ice. Simply put, trouble. Models of future sea level rise. Models, Gons. More models.
I thought we got video this time, though.
Yeah, where's the video? Come on. Why do we need
Show us.
models if we got...
Well, it's dark down there. We have to fill it in with CGI.
They take a couple lines to say a bunch of nonsense that is debunked by Antarctic scientists, but it says, but the robot found that 10% of it is way more complex. What? Talking about the glacier. There are terraces, for instance, of vertical walls over 30 feet high where melting is happening much faster than in flat areas. Oh no, that small portion is, quote, contributing 25% of the melting that we see, says Brittany Schmidt, an earth and planetary scientist at Cornell University, who leads the Ice Finn project. She's the lead author of one of the papers and co-author on the other. Quote, so it's a really outsized impact. As those features melt, blah, 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 tell me more about Ice Finn. To deploy Ice Finn and other instruments, Schmidt and her colleagues drilled down near the glacier's grounding line, the point where the ice lifts off the Antarctic landmass and starts floating in the sea. Thwaites' risk of melting isn't due to rising atmospheric temperatures above, but from rising ocean temperatures below.
Not as above, but so below.
Yes. So you see, there's some fun. As above, so below. Not as above is so below. Communication. Talking about this robot.
At least they are saying that it's not from rising temperatures, which is sort of the typical, the world is getting hotter in general. That's why the water's, that's why the ice is melting. Mm-hmm. They're moving away from that just a little bit, not atmospheric temperatures, but,
Now, before I get into it, I'll skip down a couple more paragraphs back to Icefin. When I skip things, it's just because it's the same old stuff we've heard about climate change. I'm here for the robot, okay? With Icefin, the researchers could remotely pilot a camera while measuring the salinity, temperature, and oxygen content of the water. Quote, we saw that the ice base itself was very complex in its topography, so there's lots of staircases.
Staircases?
Terraces.
In the ice?
Lifts, and crevices. Yes, the Nephilim staircases.
You guys are trying to destroy... what's her name's castle, I think is what's going on. We got staircases.
Elsa's castle.
Elsa. Yes, Elsa's getting mad.
British Antarctic Survey physical oceanographer Peter Davis and lead author of one of the papers. Okay.
And co-author on the other. That seems to be a thing. You lead one, co-author the other.
So as you can see, not a whole lot of exciting information about the robot. Now, the Flippy update, as we know, is not just about the robots themselves, but the communication about the robots, the social engineering of the acceptance of robots, the turning robots into an indispensable part of human reality and human life. And what we see here, what was really offensive to me, is the headline focusing on the robot. The idea, that of course, brought us to this article. Oh, Antarctic robot. This is so many of our things clashing all at once. And yet the information about the robot is probably the most boring and useless part of the article. Well, I take that back. The propaganda is the most boring and useless part, but there's so little about the robot itself. And what I think that this is illustrating to us is not only are robots going to save us and serve us and make it so we don't have to work and make our lives better and replace us and replace our spouses and raise our children for us, but they are also going to be the thing that finally convinces someone out there, some right-wing extremist, that climate change is really happening, especially in Antarctica, despite what all those Antarctic scientists actually have to say about it. Now, Icefin is just beginning to map the whole underbelly of this glacier in detail, partly because of the computing power needed to parse such complexity over the vast area. So there, the admission that there's very little actually info. And then at the end of the article here, but the complex features that Icefin has discovered could be essential for modeling the glacier in much finer detail. Quote, this is such a key region for Antarctic stability, says Dow. Quote, any data we're getting from there is going to be hugely valuable for trying to figure out what that system will do in the future. So modeling, as usual. Data. It's all a bunch of computer models. But the reason that we can gather this data and progress the ongoing propaganda about Antarctica and its melting ice is finally we've got a robot involved, and it'll make people care, because of course robots are people are scientists, and we're all gonna die.
Very good.
Thank you.
I will not add anything to that.
Nothing to add. Nailed it. Let's move on.